Well, here we are on our face-to-face number 5. My word, these weeks are flashing by. Vicky, how are you?
Oof, yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Enjoying the sunshine and the cold, crisp morning.
Lovely. Well, there's nothing like winter, and there's nothing like Christmas coming up either. Tomorrow is the 25th of November, if I'm not much mistaken, and that's a month till Christmas, and we're going to be into that time where people struggle. It's certainly over Christmas. I thought what we'd talk about today is we're talking about an alcohol-free Christmas, 0%. Easy for us to talk about, perhaps, as we're both alcohol-free.
And we've had many alcohol-free Christmases.
I've had, yes, between us, we've had loads.
Yeah.
I don't know, how have you found it over the years to get through?
Interesting. For us, Christmas was always a time that the traditional breakfast was the start of the day with Bucks Fizz. And that very first year, I do remember that my stepmom got me an alcohol-free version, and she scouted around to find it. And to be quite honest, I took one sip of it in the champagne glass and I put it down. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go there. I didn't want to do it. But it's never been an issue for me at all, because I'd already made the decision that I was a non-drinker by the time my first Christmas came around. So I think it was more other people than me. What about you?
That's an interesting one, isn't it? I do believe it's other people, but I'll come back to that one. We chatted briefly about non-alcoholic branded drinks.
Yeah.
Because I think more and more people are going alcohol-free, the drinks companies are sort of coming up with alternatives, so that they're trying to sort of con people into believing that they're part of the party, perhaps.
Yeah.
I find an alcohol-free lager, what's the point? I just don't get it like yourself. But do you think they're good? Would you advise your guys to use them?
Well, I've actually changed my ideas on this, and the reason being that a lot of people now are choosing to not drink because they know drinking makes them feel crap the next day, and they don't like it. And so it's a conscious choice, right? Whereas I think, and for those kind of people who can take alcohol or leave it, but are choosing to leave it because of how it makes them feel, I think they're a brilliant idea if you want to feel a part of what is going on. I absolutely do get it. And that's where the manufacturers are coming from, I think. But for somebody like me and you, who are not those kind of people who can take it or leave it, for me, it's a no. I just don't want to know. I don't want to go there. I don't want anything that reminds me of it in any way, shape, or form. I just don't see the point, like you. I don't get it. It's pointless.
Do you think that's part of that termination process?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I mean, it took me a while to even want to drink water out of a wine glass in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's how strong my associations were. And I think it does depend on what your associations with your drinking, and we're all individual on this, were. And that's got a big part to play in it. Yeah.
Maybe that's down to how extreme we were at the time.
Yeah.
I think actually, I think I'm a bit of a lightweight when I look now. Back in '94, I was a bit of a lightweight. I was still drunk, but against some of the standards I see nowadays, it's like, really, you know, 3-4 bottles of wine a day, and you're a functioning professional person. Oh my God, how does that happen? But when it comes to Christmas, like we said, I think it's a lot of the time it's about other people.
Absolutely.
That's how people get hooked into misbehaving, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. This is where I believe really, really strongly, and this is why I'm so hot with my clients on the language that I use with them, and I want them to use back to me. Because if we talk about stopping drinking or giving up, there's always in my head that I could always start again. I've just stopped so I
Okay.
could start. Whereas I simply, I don't drink. End of story, full stop, kaboom. That's it. Now, when I hear my clients say, well, when I gave up or when I first gave up, it's like, no, when you stopped, end of story.
Mm,
And I think that's the clarity that we need. If somebody still feels that in the back of their head, their little
mm,
gremlin is still going, you know what? You just might be able to control it. You
mm.
just might be able to moderate it if you have a go again, because it's been a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That that's where I think the problem comes in. And all it takes is one person to just give them that nudge.
Mm.
And it is other people, without a doubt.
I think a lot of it's to do with love, friendship. So I was talking to somebody earlier today about weight loss, and they said, "Well, my daughter's my sort of partner in crime because I love her, so I tend to buy bad food for her or bad whatever for her, and in return, she does it back to me, and the food becomes part of this love mechanism for caring for somebody." And I think as well over Christmas, people think if you're not having a drink, you can't possibly be enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I've done 26 Christmases and a few marriages and children and occasions and whatever, and never had the thought once of knocking into a beer to celebrate. I've even done the wine marathon in Medoc, and I did that totally dry as well. The people there just thought it was really unusual. I didn't want to drink wine. But as soon as you say I've got a problem with it, everybody is so understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that moment where people get a bit scared about things and they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they think you're ill.
Right. And that I remember way back when people used to say to me, and I didn't have a problem saying I don't drink. I absolutely had no problem with it at all.
Mm,
And if people didn't like it, my attitude was, if you don't like it, tough. That's
mm,
your stuff to deal with. But there would definitely be other people who felt uncomfortable that I might feel uncomfortable. And they say, "Oh, you could always say you're on antibiotics." I don't need to say anything. I don't need
yeah,
an excuse.
yeah,
I don't drink. And if somebody can't handle that, they've got a problem, not me. And
yeah.
that's my confidence in knowing that I didn't need to, I didn't want to, it was a non issue. But I think this time of year, people are scared, particularly if it's your first Christmas. And I think, well, you know, that firsts are always a challenge, no matter what
Mm,
first is, whether it's in sport, whether it's running the first marathon, whether it's learning to drive that first lesson, don't matter what it is, there's always a kind of an element of kind of fear, kind of excitement. Can I do it? Will it be easy? Will it be hard? And I think that when it comes to Christmas, because of other people and the love and the idea that you can't celebrate without a drink, the pressure on somebody to give in on that first year, I think that's a challenge. I think that's hard.
that's massive. I mean, when you look at the COVID rules over Christmas, primarily they're all based around people getting hammered.
Yeah.
Um, because they're worried about people congregating in groups because of alcohol. If you took the alcohol out of the present COVID death rate, etc., etc., etc.,
It
it
would.
would be a lot lower.
Yeah, it would. But it's very much to do with our culture as
Mm.
one of many European nations who have this crazy drinking culture. I mean, it's not just us in the UK,
Mhm.
but there's other countries where it's just not a thing. It's not an issue. They're not having these crazy rules about pub throwing out times because it just doesn't happen. And you're absolutely right. But this is where, and we're not going to go down that road. But the whole COVID thing is a health thing, and yet nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about the health side of things. We're talking about getting a cure and a vaccine, but nobody's
Mm.
talking about how to look after your immune system. And one thing that you and I both know is that alcohol absolutely wrecks your gut. And
Oh.
where's 70% of your immune system? In your gut.
Yeah.
So it's hardly surprising, when people say, oh, these people have no underlying health issues. If you drink alcohol, then chances are you do.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? The amount of bowel cancer that's alcohol related. And, I don't want to be preachy about it, because I think people turn off when you're preachy about sort of saying, being alcohol free is all fat. It's a bit like being vegan or
Don't be vegan.
that's another can of worms. But these are choices that people make. Okay, people make these choices to abstain from meat, or abstain from fish, abstain from things, so because they want to lead a healthier life or whatever. But I think that Christmas is just basically it's 2 days. You've got Christmas Day, Boxing Day to endure. If it isn't endure, if everybody else is drinking around the table and you've got port in the morning and you've got the best wine and you've got whatever, I think it's best to scroll back and start with December. Even with the diet, I'm the original New Year's resolution. My New Year's resolution started on the 5th of January 94. I gave up smoking on Boxing Day 93, but I gave up alcohol on the 5th of January 94. I think it's quite good to scroll back,
right,
and not make the Christmas day, ouch, the first day.
Yeah.
Try and scroll it back and go, do you know what? December, I'm going to do dry December. See if I can do it, because if you can't do it, you've got a problem.
Yep.
And it gives me a head start to think about maybe 2021 booze free.
And that's a brilliant way of looking at it, because we can learn when we look back, can't we, from what's worked for us previously. And if it didn't work the way you did it before, maybe give yourself a chance to do it differently. And you're absolutely right. Scrolling back and not putting a big day like Christmas Day as being the day. Why make it really hard for yourself?
That's like the toughest ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bonkers. When you know that there's going to be the pressure from everybody else, and you're going to feel left out because it's something that you're not familiar with yet, being the one in a room who is not drinking. So give yourself a chance to be that person. To be fair, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but maybe because we can't all get together in big groups as much as we normally have, it might be easier for people whose first Christmas it is. But on the other hand, it might not, because they may feel lonely and want that escapism from being stuck in the environment they're in. So there's going to be, pluses and minuses to it. But is it as hard as people think it's going to be? No, but it is an attitude. An attitude
I
of
think
mind.
it is an attitude. And I also think you have to have the conversation. So I don't know how many conversations you had about not drinking. I did have some close conversations, but a lot of them were after quite a few weeks, when people sort of said, "Oh, you're not drinking." I sort of said, "Well, I haven't done any for a couple of months, and I'm trying to lose some weight, and I've just started running, and I'm really enjoying that. And actually, I don't want to."
Nice.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's none of your business, which I really like.
Yeah.
It's I'm not drinking, so what?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can be quite ballsy about that. It is difficult because it makes you stand out from the crowd, and it's really funny. People would try any mechanism possible to try and give you a drink. And
You see, I've never experienced that ever. But I think that's because our stories are different. So I ended up in rehab. And so most people knew, because I was completely out and off the scene for a total of 3 months. And everybody knew where I was. So I didn't need to explain. It was already known.
In those 3 months,
Yeah.
he said, taking a slurp of tea.
With a Union Jack mug. I love it.
Yeah. During those 3 months, so 90 days, was it on day 1 or day 90 when you knew you weren't going to drink again?
As soon as I was conscious again and alive, and knew I was alive, I already knew. When I was told where I was, it was just like, thank God for that. Somebody's taken it out of my hands. I'm here, and I know now that I can do it, because I was in a bubble, and I didn't have all of the pressures of my living environment that was a massive root cause of me continuing to drinking. So for me, as soon as I was conscious, I knew. Absolutely did. And when I was asked by the therapist if did I think I had a problem, I was just like, duh. Yeah, duh, yeah,
Really?
hello. Finally, now I'm somewhere where I can get help. Hurrah. Yeah.
And did you have an alcoholic partner?
Not at that time, no.
Mm,
But my first one was, and so is
mm.
my second. Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? So, and also if people are in that situation, they say, well, actually, I'm with somebody and they're also as bad as me.
No.
That's really hard to get a time out and sort of say, actually, I'm trying to have a month off or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I didn't set out to do a lifetime. I really didn't set out to do a lifetime. I just thought, see if I do a day. Instead of going down the pub at 5 o'clock at night, I went home. The pint of beer was on the counter waiting for me at 5 o'clock, and I never went back.
But that was your conscious choice to change your routine. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the hardest things for people is to change that routine. And you do have, it is conscious to start with until you've repeated it enough times. And then obviously it becomes unconscious. But making the decision and planning, okay, so this is what I used to do. So what am I going to do
Mm,
now? Because you don't want to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs, scratching the walls, thinking, oh, I really want to be having a drink. You need to have
mm.
something that replaces it to
So
keep
this,
you busy and occupied.
so for you, it's back what 2005 or
2005, yeah.
2005? Okay, and for me, it was 1994. So it's a long time ago for both of us. Probably not a lot on the internet in 2005, if we've been honest.
Not a great deal.
What do you think there is now that can help people out?
There
So,
is so much, absolutely tons of stuff out there. So there are various private Facebook groups. So Team Sober UK is a really good group to jump in on. You don't have to like be a member. You just literally can join, and that's it, dead straightforward. There's also a lot of recovery group meetings. So Smart Recovery is
mhm,
on there. AA meetings are all online and have been throughout lockdown. And there's tons of information. You can go onto YouTube if you want to look at stuff that way. We've got our availability of information is vast. But one thing that I think is really important is to surround yourself where possible with positive people. There's a lot
mhm.
of Facebook groups where there's a great deal of negativity.
Yeah.
And a great deal of moaning and wanting to be the center of attention and saying how hard it is. We don't want that. It's not helpful. So something like a group that is well established and is well monitored,
Mhm,
the comments that go in there, I think is really, really important. Who we surround ourselves with when we are newly sober, especially, and even after a while, when we get that gremlin that still says, oh, it's been 10 years now, maybe you can.
mm.
You still need to be supported with like-minded people who are going to keep you feeling positive.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's a lot of a lot of it is about embarrassment.
Huge, yeah.
So you join a group, and then suddenly I don't know, there's 5, 10,000 people in there. You're opening yourself up to a lot of people. Whereas I felt very ashamed. I felt
Mm,
ashamed to start off with there were visible signs of me making this recovery, and then
right.
people would pay me compliments, which I like,
Yeah.
rather rather than thinking, "Gosh, this is just really embarrassing." Not going down the drinks aisle in Safeways because you never know what's going to happen, but
Yep.
actually nothing's going to happen at the drinks aisle in Safeways. But it's just that thing about reaching out, um, finding some people who are rowing the boat the same way,
Exactly. Yeah.
and feeling like you're making a difference every day. And just add. I always say to people, it's like adding a piece of a jigsaw. And you and I have both clocked up a lot of days, dry. But one drink on Christmas Day messes it up,
It
and
does.
it just everything we've done, everything we've stood for the last 20 odd years or whatever it is, vaporizes in 1 second.
Mm. And we
And
know that it's never going to be one drink.
um, I just I don't even know. I haven't got a clue what it would be like, and
I don't
I
want
really
to.
don't. I'm getting to the stage where in a few years I will have lived more time dry than
Brilliant.
drunk.
Brilliant.
Although I didn't drink until I was, I didn't drink when I was 1. You know, my years of sobriety will outweigh the years before.
Fab.
That'll be an interesting day. I'll have to work it out because I'm a bit like that.
Yeah.
But the sun's shining out there, and I always sort of say, look, the sun's shining. Try now. Give up today. Enjoy what's left of November. You have a great December. You have a brilliant Christmas Day not being drunk, I promise you. And 2021, it doesn't have to be this horrible, dark, awful place that's being projected to us. Actually, it could be the year that saves your life.
And it could be the start of you having a whole new life experience, because you can see things so much clearer and things are just so much more enjoyable when you haven't got that foggy head, that horrible achy body feeling, and as you say, or the guilt or the shame that comes with failing again if you've tried a few times. And you know what? When you say to somebody, Christmas Day can be fun. Christmas Day is hilarious when you're not drinking, especially when other people are. You can have the most fun ever because you realise just how much people repeat the same stuff and say the same thing or just conk out. And I think they can be the most amusing days.
Well, I just think it's the most amazing way to waste your life, but that's another one. So, look at that, 20 minutes on alcohol-free Christmas. Look, thanks for chatting again, Vicky. It's always
a delight.
Always a pleasure. If people want to come and find you, where do they find you?
They can find me at vickymidwood.com. I'm on Facebook as the Addiction and Disordered Eating Eliminator, and I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram too.
Oh God, you're everywhere.
I am everywhere.
I mean, Google, just search Rory Coleman, you'll find me. Have a great day and enjoy your cup of tea.
Make mine a water. I don't know where it is, somewhere.
Okay, have a good rest of the day. Cheers, Vicky.
You too. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Bye.